So I'm here at London Colney. You can probably just see behind me the Arsenal women's team being put through their paces here ahead of tomorrow night's Champions League clash at Emirates Stadium against FC Zurich. Tickets still on sale for that, by the way. Arsenal obviously got their Champions League campaign off to a brilliant start last week with a thumping 5-1 win away at holders and 8-time winners Lyon. Maybe a slightly unexpected start to the group, but it's only 3 points and all of that. But they're going to have a very different challenge against Zurich at Emirates Stadium on Thursday evening. Zurich opened with a 2-0 home defeat against Juventus, but it took Juventus 70 minutes to break them down. They played in a kind of 4-5-1 deep block, and I'm really expecting to see something like that from the Swiss champions tomorrow night. And that's going to be, whereas Lyon gave Arsenal loads and loads of space to attack, particularly on the counter, this time the onus is really going to be on Arsenal to break down a deep block defence. So Arsenal, this is the game that they are massive favourites for in the group. Zurich the 4th seeds, and so the expectation will be there as well. But we'll see how that goes on Thursday night. Just waiting for Jonas Eideval and Frida Marnum to come and talk to us ahead of Thursday night's game at Zurich. And a couple of questions I'm going to ask Jonas, obviously about Zurich's setup and anticipating that kind of 4-5-1 deep block. Another question I'm going to ask him is about the wide forwards. Now, at the moment, with both of the centre-halves injured, Steph Catley is playing that left centre-back role, which means Katie McCabe is needed at left-back, and she's come out of the wide-forward rotation. So what's happening is Beth Mead and Caitlin Ford are playing those wide roles, but they're playing quite a lot of minutes, and generally those are the first players that Jonas tends to substitute because of the amount of physical effort that he asks from them. But obviously at the moment they're having to play quite a lot. Lena Hurtig, new signing, is also in that rotation, but she's kind of still settling in and finding her feet. And I just wonder whether Mana Iwabuchi, who's only played 1 minute so far this season, is considered a viable option there, not just because Mana's a really good player, but also to take some of the heat off Beth Mead and Caitlin Ford. I was going to say Caitlin McCabe there. So that's why I'm going to ask Jonas that question, and I'll show you the answer in a second. I didn't watch all of the Zurich-Juventus game, but I watched the highlights, and it looked very much to me like Zurich went to frustrate, kind of 4-5-1 deep block. Juventus had to be very patient to break them down. Is that what you're expecting tomorrow?
From seeing that game, yes, that painted a very consistent picture for the whole game. So, of course, it's one of the ways to prepare for the play.
And my second question's a little bit about squad rotation. One of the consequences of losing the centre-backs is that Katie McCabe is needed at left-back, and that's meant that in the wide forward positions in particular, where I know you like to kind of withdraw players in games and things like that, Beth and Caitlin have been playing a lot of minutes recently. I wonder whether in the medium term that's a concern, and whether maybe one of those wide positions is a good route into the team or to more minutes for Mana Iwabuchi.
It is a position that we have used Mana in a couple of times last season. She can be in that position if it's a little bit more like an inverted winger compared to a really wide forward. I think it's right what you're saying, that of course when we are missing players that will take away some options for alternatives in us to rotate the squad, but I feel confident when I see these options that I have available in front of me before the game here tomorrow, that we are in a good position to put fresh minds and fresh legs on the pitch that can do the very best for us.
So that's a wrap from Jonas Eideval and Frida Marnum's press conference here at London Colney ahead of tomorrow night's Champions League game against Zurich. Some interesting stuff coming out, not least the drilling you can probably hear in the background through some of those answers. And the reason for that is, as some of you may know, they're expanding the Arsenal women's area at London Colney, and that work is going on currently to make, because Arsenal women have their own section of the training ground at the moment, but they're basically expanding that and making it bigger, and that's why you can hear drilling in the background. So it's for a positive reason. But a couple of things I think I really picked up from that press conference. Obviously, as I said, I was going to ask him about Manuel Wabuchi and whether those wide forward positions were a realistic avenue into the team for her. I have to say, I thought we sounded slightly lukewarm on that, maybe in the long term. You know, he talked about Mana being an inverted option there. He does usually like for his wingers to stay very wide and stay kind of close to the touchline and come in and take players on. However, he has been playing Katie McCabe on the right at points this season as well. But I do wonder if he hinted at the end when he talked about bringing fresh legs and fresh minds into the team, whether we might see Mana, whether we might see Lena Hurtig, whether we might see Jordan Nobbs, and just how much rotation we'll see on Thursday night, and how he keeps that balance between continuity and respecting the opponent, but also rotating the team and bringing some of these players in who haven't started a game yet this season. I think the other interesting point to come out of this press conference was him talking about the humility of the team, because obviously they had a brilliant result last week in Lyon, and you know, Jonas said that if we just have one good result and we start talking about winning the competition, then you know, that's not humble enough. And I do wonder actually if that result coming in the middle of such a compacted schedule might kind of help a little bit, because it just hasn't given even the fans you know, time to dwell on that result too much. I know for me personally, having been to that game and then, you know, coming home and then 2 days later being on a train to Liverpool, I haven't really had time to process it either. So I can only imagine what that's like for the players who are kind of here and preparing and recovering and going through the tactics for the next game when they have so little time. I wonder if that, not that I think Arsenal would lose the run of themselves because of a result like that, but I just wonder if that helps. Perhaps if it had just happened like the Ajax game, where the Ajax game happened and then there was 2.5 weeks without a club game anyway. Most of the players went off to play with their national teams, but whether that's kind of helped. But nevertheless, as I've said many times during this video, Arsenal plays Zurich at Emirates Stadium on Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Tickets are still available. I think we're expecting around about 5,000 fans in the stadium, probably a lot lower than the other two group games, certainly lower than Tottenham and the Manchester United game, which is already on about 30,000 ticket sales. I think that was always going to be the case probably for the kind of the fourth seed in the group at home, particularly on the same night that the men are playing. However, tickets are on sale right up until kickoff, and if you can't get to the stadium, it will also be live and free on DAZN's YouTube channel, and that is not geo-blocked. You don't need a subscription to watch, so just log on to YouTube, find DAZN Football, and you will find the game there.